It is that time for Mr. Tact. And that is my response to a tweet. Yes, my response to a tweet. And today's tweet says, what happened to the time where as Americans, we used to help each other? What happened to that time where as Americans, we used to help each other? That is a very, very good question. Well, here I go. Here's my response. It was a little formula that was shared with me a long time ago, and I've held on to it, and I've expounded on it many times in my life. You know, I minister, I help people, and and I share this formula. And the formula is where I ask everybody to answer these questions. I'll answer them for you because you can't right now, but I ask these questions, and they give me the response. And I say, how many days in the week? And they say 7. I say, how many weeks in a month? And they say 4, sometimes 5. I say, how many months in a year? They say 12. I say, how many weeks in a year? They say 52. I say, how many days in a year? They say 365, and on leap year, 366. Then I ask them, how many seconds in a year? And when I ask how many seconds in a year, they start getting real complex. They're trying to figure it out. There is a way to figure out the answer. And while they're sitting there figuring out, they're going 60 seconds in a minute, this and that. They're trying to figure it out. I interrupt them and I say, there's 12. And then they're really confused, and I try to go on, and they're confused. How is there 12 seconds in a year? And I said, wow, it's real simple. It's real easy. And I say, January 2nd, February 2nd, March 2nd, and they go, oh, wow. Okay, and the purpose of this exercise is to show them a system that God had created for us. And then what I say is this. The reason why you were perplexed is because you were taught how to answer those questions in school. Days of the week, weeks of the month, all those kind of things. And so you knew how to rattle those things out, but nobody ever got you down into the seconds. So what happened is everything I asked you was in the context of a calendar. And what happened is you took the last answer, how many seconds in a year, you took it off the calendar and you put it on a watch, which made it complicated. Yes, there is a way to figure it out, but it's going to take some time. And if you don't have the time to figure it out, then it became very, very complicated, encompassing. So the reason why I'm saying that in the answer to this question is because we were able to help people out because we kept everything on the Constitution, off of our faith, off of our individual feelings. We kept everything about ourselves. But what happens with liberalism is that it has it take it off of you and it has you put it on somebody else. See, you are the calendar that you know best. But liberalism makes things complicated. When you're functioning as you and what God created you to do, everything was going fine. See, back in the day, everybody was focused on them as individuals, and because God was involved, God had us develop as individuals that are people that not are only blessed, but we try to be a blessing to others. That's the system God created. So God said, keep everything on the calendar. How did he say that? He said, read the Bible for yourself. Pray for your own salvation. I sent my only begotten Son so whoever would believe in him would have everlasting life and that more abundant. So it was something that you did as an individual. But liberalism came in and is hell-bent on getting us disconnected from our God, our prayers for ourselves and things like this, and they try to get you to look at somebody else's situation. And what it does is you effectively take it off of the calendar that God created and you put it on the watch of somebody else. And their lives are complicated. You can figure them out, but you're going to have to ask an awful lot of questions and take some time. Liberalism made helping people complicated. They add all kinds of regulations off of fictitious things. One person might get hurt and they got to create a regulation that the government needs to supervise you. And so you're making it complicated to help other people. If you're sitting at home and you were inspired to create a business based on helping people, you knew that you had to get yourself together first. You knew that. Every person that started a business, it started with self, with the goal of being a blessing to someone else. But then when you venture out to do that, then here comes this liberal policy that says, here's all these complicated things you have to consider, versus you just going out there and being a blessing. We're living in a world now to where helping one another has become so complicated. We have taken it off the calendar and we're putting it on the watch. And so when you put it on the watch, then you have these so-called smart people, these so-called intelligent people that know what's best, just complicating everything. The tax code, complicated, makes it difficult for you to help people. Creates loopholes and all these things. It's very complicated. You can't have an extra $1 million to go help somebody because you got to spend millions of dollars to an accountant that knows how to decipher all this complication. It's done on purpose. Because of liberalism, by its very nature, is designed to disconnect you from God, complicate things to where they're the only ones that you believe can figure it out for you and protect you. Because liberals want to be God. Our Constitution was built on self-reliance. Looking out for yourself. Whatever feeling you have of yourself, we are going to protect you. That individual protection done all together creates we the people. The Constitution is not complicated. We're supposed to have a Supreme Court that is designed to make sure this thing never gets complicated. Before somebody comes in and makes the Constitution complicated for you to look out for yourself and that Judeo-Christian principle be a blessing to someone else, you get it to the Supreme Court and they will simplify this thing according to the Constitution. We are being totally disconnected from that simplicity to this liberal complicatedness. And it just makes it hard for us to look out for each other. It makes us go through all kinds of pits and starts and steps and this and that in order to look out for each other. To where you just throw your hands up and then you don't pray for nobody. You don't pray for yourself because some atheist is going to come in and say that's it. They're just designed. Liberalism is designed to disconnect you from God and from this Constitution. And it's hard for you to look out for yourself and be a blessing to someone else. That's why, as Americans, it doesn't seem like it's easy to help each other anymore. Well, hey, that's my response to a tweet. I'm Phil Williams.